I don't think I don't remember the process, but okay, if you all guide me a little bit, yeah.
Bianca, do you have the agenda?
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I don't have it with me at hand.
Okay. Richard or Mr. Jones, do you have the agenda?
I had it. First thing is to look at the minutes from the last meeting and decide whether we approve them or not. Although I'm looking at, is it October 20th? Was that the last meeting? Those are the minutes I'm looking at.
Correct. Those are the last, that's the last meeting.
You would also need a roll call.
Yes,
I'm sorry,
yes,
what?
Correct. I guess before the minutes, if we could do a roll call, please.
I'm here. Bianca, are you here?
Mirror.
I can see Lou and Richard.
Marisa Ramirez, I love Laredo too.
So I showed just so the WebEx reflects it, but we have Mr. Jones, Mr. Gonzalez, Ms. Otero, and Ms. Brewster. So we do have a quorum. Mr. Chairman, I had sent out the minutes. I don't know if everybody got that in their email, but if there's any changes that need to be made, let me know, or if there could be a motion for to accept the minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes
Thank
from
you.
October 20th.
That's the person who doesn't have a camera on?
Yes.
No, I don't. I'm in the vehicle.
Anybody second those?
I'll second.
Thank you, Richard.
Yes, sir.
Any community from citizens? John, do we have anybody writing to us?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have Big Blue as a citizen. I don't know if he wants to make any comments.
No, I just want to sit down and listen to what you guys do. I'd like to learn. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
Okay, I guess we don't have any citizen comments.
The next item on the agenda is discussion of the hazardous materials ordinance. Is there a draft ordinance?
So, Mr. Chair, the council 2 meetings ago, which would, I guess, trying to remember what date it was, but in February, council had passed a motion to have the committee make a recommendation to implement a distance requirement from schools for hazardous material permit holders. And then there was a second by Councilman Martinez to also come up with a distance requirement on industrial zones and schools. And so I've looked into what other cities have done in terms of distance requirements, and they're very minimal. I think Austin has like 50 feet, so we don't really have a good model to go by with other cities. But the concern is hazardous materials warehouses around any schools, and the school that comes to mind is Muller Elementary in the Mines Road area, and there are adjacent hazmat permits to that school. Now, obviously, this recommendation would be for future warehouses, because the existing would be grandfathered in. I guess if they were to close up shop, then anybody moving into that new warehouse would not be able to store hazardous materials. They wouldn't be able to obtain a permit.
But do we have to draft an ordinance?
No, we're just looking at a recommendation that then we can take back to council, and then we can amend the ordinance based on that recommendation.
Well, I know when I visited the schools across, 359 from the city dump, I thought they were all too close together, the schools to the dump, but that's certainly more than 50 feet. That's like 500 feet, but it's still awfully close.
From
Nothing we can do.
We can't move the dump. Dump was the landfill.
We
was
could-
there
we could
before the
close it.
school was. Yeah. But if it's from, I'm looking at it right now, it's about 1,600 feet away from the school. And then in the Mines Road area, I'll tell you how close.
What facility out there?
On Mines Road?
Yeah.
The
cement
only
plant?
school that I can think of, and I could certainly be wrong on this, I think it's Muller Elementary, and from property line to property line, we're looking at about 50 feet.
Jeepers.
Yeah. If I may interject, this is Joanne Ozetto. If I may make a comment, since I live in this area of the Muller Elementary School, one of the issues that many parents and citizens have brought to our attention is that very fact that there are hazmat materials relatively nearby the school. And so this has been a lengthy process to try to address it. So as you said, Mr. Porter, it is wise to come up with some type of distance requirement now so we can refrain from more additional hazmat materials. But I mean, we were very concerned because we knew utility trailers was going to be moving trailers to a lot adjacent to the school. And unfortunately, we did question that. We were not successful. And our only concern was they do have to transport those vehicles, so we knew diesel, fumes, etc., would be occurring next to a school that houses 700 to 800 kids and staff and parents and so forth. But so looking at this, I have a question. Does TCEQ have any recommendations for the distance requirements we could look at next to a school or a park or whatever it might be?
I guess the short answer is no. That's more of a local zoning issue. And
Okay.
hazardous materials are not regulated by TCEQ. Hazardous waste is
Okay.
regulated by TCEQ, but actual materials are not regulated by the state. Typically, like the waste, oil field waste is regulated by the Railroad Commission. Hazardous waste is regulated by TCEQ, and in terms of hazardous materials, that's regulated by the federal DOT.
Okay, and I'd like to just chime in one other thought, because I really appreciate you clarifying that now there is a chance for us as a committee to make a recommendation regarding the distancing next to, a school or a park. With that in mind, since I can speak only of Muller, I am not familiar with Highway 359 school. I don't know the name of it, but I think since what we were concerned about, and I want the committee to understand that we were concerned because there's only one entrance to Muller and one exit. It's the same. So if something happens in this vicinity or fairly close to Muller, we were concerned about the residents having noise, but the buses, and so I sort of feel, I have a strong opinion, I know about this because I'm a retired educator, that we would really want to look at a very reasonable but yet a strict requirement for further hazardous materials to be anywhere near a school or park. That's my suggestion. And by the way, the same true for Green Ranch. They only have one entrance. So if a warehouse north of, let's say, La Bosa Ranch, and let's say even north of Green, I'm just concerned about the evacuation and, you know, the timeliness and with the truck traffic and so forth, getting what we need out there.
Sure. I was going to say if it's actual transportation of hazardous materials, I don't think the city can regulate that. The city can regulate and establish a hazardous material route, but that's only for transportation through the city. If it's local distribution, then the city, I don't think, can regulate what type of good or service is being used on its public roads.
No, I understand that, but I think what I'm saying in the event of problem with hazardous materials and the need to evacuate people, because that has happened once to us already. And there was some incident, and it happened to be on Killam. And as far as La Bosa Ranch, we were notified that we needed to evacuate. And my point is, I was just looking at what is brought on the table here and regarding the distancing requirement that we as a committee can look at for future warehouse storage of hazmat materials. Isn't that what the issue is?
Correct. So yeah, whatever the committee recommends, let's say, you know, however many feet away, that would be for future, because if there's an existing facility, they would be grandfathered in.
May I suggest that I would like to research also. I don't know, do we have time, Mr. Porter, to research and come back at another meeting and bring our findings so we as a committee can make a good determination?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I encourage that. I just wanted to get the ball rolling. I think council would like a recommendation fairly quick, but decision or recommendation. I think that's perfectly fine.
Okay, great.
And if I may ask, what is the other what do the other committee members think of that, or if you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Yes, I can put that in the form of a motion. I would like to give this committee time to do due diligence to make an informed decision regarding the distance requirement for future hazardous materials in warehouses next to schools or parks. I would like the motion is for us to have additional time to research and do our due diligence before we make any motion to City Council.
I would agree with that.
Would that be a second, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
And any other discussion or
Do we want to have a meeting, just a couple of us every so often to see how we're coming?
yeah, let's see, what is today, the 3rd? So I'll set up another meeting for the first part of April, if that works with everybody. First week, does that work?
Sounds-
Yes. Yes.
And why doesn't call-in user number 2 have a name?
Why doesn't, is that me?
Yes.
That's you, ma'am.
Okay, I have a name. Since I'm at a Vanessa Fettis distribution of milk, eggs, and food with Pastor Lucy De Leon, and I'm in the Father Macknable Park in a car. So part of it, my name is Joanne.
Okay.
That's why.
And just for the committee's information, Ms. Otero is a new member to the committee, representing District 7.
Thanks, John.
Yes.
Okay, can I have everybody vote? Is everybody in agreement with that motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Joanne, yes.
Thank you. If I don't hear a nay, then I'll mark everybody as in favor.
Thank you, John.
All right, Mr. Jones? Are you
Is
ready
there
for
something else on the list here? What's next on our agenda?
The discussion of the litter issues along Killam Industrial Boulevard.
And this item, Mr. Otero, this is the item that you had emailed me on. If you would like to speak about this, it's on the litter issue on Killam Boulevard.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Again, this is nameless, but it's Joanne. I'd like would go to that effect that our our truck drivers, people who are, I guess, in the trade industry, most likely are using Killam Industrial Boulevard from FM 1472 east towards IH 35 as a restroom. So I know they're on a clock. I realize that. I know trade is important to our city, but unfortunately, I'm very concerned about the look that happens and also the health issues may be imposed by their dropping off gallon jugs of urine, and it's urine. Years ago, my husband worked very hard, and we were able to get Jesus Olivares involved, and he did send a crew, and they did clean it up. But the problem is the issue will continue without some type of action. So my husband and I, Salo and I've talked, and really, this is just a suggestion that I would like City Council to maybe look at. And I have spoken to Vanessa Pettis about this. I feel strongly that an investment should be made for cameras and heavy fines implemented to reduce or to keep this from happening. And I mean that would be an expenditure, I know, but I also know that the warehouse or the trucking industries, our warehouses, they don't want to be cited. And I was speaking to her and sharing. I'm not talking a $250 fine. I'm talking high fine, $1,000, and get these cameras installed because we don't have manpower. We don't expect the Laredo Police Department to be traveling on one road. We can't do that. That's not realistic now. And anyway,
Does that industrial park have an HOA?
I'm sorry?
Does that industrial park have an HOA?
No, HOAs are only for home. This is.
Well, there's some industrial parks that I've worked for that they do have kind of like an HOA because they do have to maintain their industrial park. And I've gotten called for work for HOAs for industrial parks. So it's just a question I had because that's one.
Oh, no.
No, that's what I'm asking you.
Hold on one second.
Hey, Luke, they might have a property owners association.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Something, yeah, because a couple industrial parks give me calls to maintain their location. I'm just saying if there's one there for that area, you know, those are the people we gotta talk to. Because once they have nowhere to park, so they're parking in areas that they shouldn't park, you know. And
Yeah.
so yeah, the bathroom situation, I see that all the time too, because I drive through Mines Road through there. But to find a temporary solution where, you know, we could maybe install some old boys and not charge the city, but try to see if they have an HOA or a property management. Be like, hey, you know, all these trucks are coming to your park. You know, they might not be used during the night because they have nowhere to park, but we gotta do something about the safety of the people on Mines Road, but also the cleanup that goes along there. Because they just use it as a big trash can. You just drive there, you can see it from your car, the amount of pee that's being thrown. You know, so that's why I was asking if there was a property management for that area, because they do need to get involved in that.
Let me ask you, are you referring to Kellum Industrial
Yeah.
Boulevard?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so there might be,
That's just the way I would start looking at first if they had the property management there that keep everything clean, their sidewalks, all that, just like in the HOA. Because there's some industrial parks that do have it.
Okay, when we spoke with Mr. Audit, he said that was a city street. That it was managed by the city of Laredo. That Kellum Industrial Boulevard is actually managed by the city of Laredo. It's what he told my husband back in 2017.
No, you're correct. You're correct. It is. But the problem is that all those trucks are going to those industrial parks. They can't go at a certain time because they close at 5. But the mess is coming from those trucks. You know, so it's like a 50-50. It's like, hey, I mean, we can't be responsible for all your trucks that are coming in to clean up their mess. There has to be some sort of agreement with them. You know, at least a consistency agreement of what to do. That's just my opinion. I'm just saying.
And I agree with you in that I think what I'm referring to, and I think we're on the same track here, my idea was that the camera would take the picture of the company that has pulled aside. And I have seen them pull aside when they've left the warehouse, so I don't understand that. You know, like I followed them one time, and this gentleman pulled over, okay? And I thought, well, why didn't he, you know, in other words, before you leave your route. And I see them because I've lived off Mines Road 22 years, so I hear what you're saying, but my idea was for the company to receive the fine if the truck that's pulled over is actually, there's a camera, there's footage, if this were allowed. And I really think it would minimize, if not eliminate, the issue. It's worth looking into what you're saying on that homeowner. That's certainly worth investigating.
Well, I think, let me ask you this. Is the litter problem in the undeveloped area, or is it on the developed area as well?
It's all along your right of way, John. It's as soon as you turn in from mile 9, you can see the trash on the right and left, and that trash is going to the developers who haven't developed. It's getting littered to them too. So you just have to drive along Kellum from the beginning. You'll see it once it kind of gets into the industrial park. You really don't see that much. It's really just that beginning strip, right, ma'am? where it's all not developed yet, where all the trucks are parked there illegally. Yeah, but once you get more into the industrial park, you really don't see it because they have to keep their place clean. It's all before the unsettled area, you know. So what I was thinking temporarily, I was thinking, well, if we put some old boys out there for them,
Yeah.
you know, something temporarily to fix, put a trash container out there, you know, so they could use, you know, something small to kind of say, hey, you know, we want to do something. But the thing at the end is that all those industrial park areas need to pay for something.
Yeah, that's why I thought the situation was well.
No, you go get it.
I think that if it's not on the developed area, I think a lot of businesses want to have the front of their property clean. But I do know that Killam, they've already got a preliminary plat for that area that's not developed. So I would say within the next year or so that's going to be developed. And so I think we'll see a reduction in area.
In the meantime, we could put an old boy out there.
Well, we can talk about that, and I can talk to you know, I'm thinking legal. My only concern with that is, would we be encouraging a nuisance? Because the way it is right now, the trucks should not be parked on the right of way. What they're doing is they're parking there, waiting to pick up a load from whatever warehouse is around there.
No.
And so my concern is that if we've got boys, are we encouraging something that's not allowed? And that's what I want to ask legal.
That's true, and also maybe we just gotta go. I mean, send the PD to start giving tickets. You know.
But Mr. In this case, I don't know if that is true that they're waiting on a load. I've noticed on both sides of the road trucks parked. But what I think's happening, as you mentioned, somebody mentioned, they're coming in, they take the exit 9, and they pull over and they dispose of the jug of urine and whatever. I've seen other things, but those are the ones that concern me because I remember Mr. Olivares was very concerned about the city of Laredo crew handling that urine, and he hired a crew to clean it because he did not want his employees to handle that waste from another person because of bodily fluid, right? So I don't know about the old boy because that's going to fill up pretty quick, and I kind of think, yeah, it's an encouragement. But I also think there's a responsibility that needs to be held. I mean, there's some accountability here. Like, we shouldn't be allowing this to happen in our city. This property is part of the city of Laredo, so it falls under under that. So I feel that we should look at ways to curtail this behavior and take some action here. I just feel that it's not good to have just urine visible for people, and cars go that way as well. I will share something. When my family would come to visit from San Antonio, because that's where I'm originally from, they would see this. I would tell them, take exit 9. Now I don't tell them to, because I want them to see that waste on the sides of the road. So it's ecologically well good, and, it is a health hazard. That's what I'm really concerned about, is the health hazard. And I'm going back in time, and I'm giving you so you're aware that we've been concerned about this issue now. This is going on the 4th year. It wasn't always this way, but we started noticing it about 4 years ago, and that really has been done in a remedial way. I surrender.
Hey, John, is this the same issue you're having on San Isidro Parkway when they come off the access road? When they turn, you'll see trucks do oil changes, and stuff like that. When we did our cleanup on San Isidro Parkway, we found a bunch of oil, a bunch of stuff that even mechanics doing changes there. This is in San Isidro coming off the access road, going into. So I mean, these are issues where trucks shouldn't even be in there, and they're in there.
Yeah, we've got those issues all over the place, and up at mile marker 13, same problem. We've got trucks that are doing oil changes, which is illegal, roadside oil changes. But yeah, it's not unique to just Pelham Industrial. Yeah, I know mile marker 13.
I'm thinking just going the legal way and start giving tickets, and I mean they have to go figure out where else to park. There's that new parking area coming in from Laredo. There's areas where they could park. I mean, they're gonna have to figure that out and complain to their business, like, hey, we have a hard time parking. We have nowhere to park. We're giving tickets. Because if they kept the place clean, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't care. But they're not respecting that we're not ticketing them. So I would just go the legal way and start giving out tickets.
More from as opposed to the short haul. I think these are out of town drivers that are probably doing this. I don't know that for fact, but I'm just thinking that probably would be. I think the enforcement side is the I think that's the key. The issue I see with cameras is, and again, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think we can fine or cite a company for an offense that's being done by a driver. So we would essentially have to catch that driver and cite that driver. We can't just cite a business if they're not responsible for that.
Hey, John, and also,
that's going to be a big issue.
John, you could put a big sign out there that as soon as they're driving into Laredo, something where hey, we're finding people who are littering and stuff like that and parking, something like that, where it could be like, damn, this city is watching. That's another thing to do. That there's a sign as soon as you come into Laredo that we're trying to keep the city clean. So I mean, there's but I think the ticket way would be the most legal way to do it. So they can start.
The legal, we asked for that, and that's when we were told there is not enough law enforcement for that to happen. Now, if city council says we want a special person, because we asked for that. We asked for enforcement 4 years ago, and that's when we were told that is not going to happen. So maybe with this city council it might, but we were told no, they can't. They only have so many police assigned in each area, and I respect that. So we backed off on that idea because we were told that is not going to happen. Second thing, regarding your comment, Mr. Porter, about you didn't think a driver could be cited, and I kind of think that OSHA does say, because I knew someone who had 100% infraction free, and he said that he knew people that were cited as drivers for companies, and then they got in trouble by the company, and OSHA's the one. I don't know, I assume it's still OSHA, but OSHA does the infraction. That's what I'm getting at. So,
and that may be, but that's federal. I mean, we're only allowed to do Class C misdemeanors. So yeah,
okay.
that would be federal. I will certainly, if we can bring this back to the next meeting, but I can certainly give you or invite one of the city attorneys to discuss this. And you're right. Council is the governing body, and they make decisions as to where do they want to utilize personnel, and so it may be, we do have a different council, it may be a priority for this new council.
Yes, great. I appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion. Thank you, Mr. Porter, and everyone on the committee.
Yeah, why don't I invite one of the city attorneys, and we can put this item on the agenda for April if everybody's good with that.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Anything else on the agenda right now?
I just have the hazardous materials site distance and this item.
Right.
Okay. Well, I mean, unless somebody has anything else, if somebody wants to make a motion to adjourn.
Placita? Lou?
No,
I
Stephanie.
make the motion to adjourn. Richard Gonzalez, John.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
I'll second your motion
I
if I can.
I third it.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and